I feel it. I'm definitely getting closer to my dreams, and I do hope that you are as well. I am Tamara Westwood, your host here at SouLutions Radio this morning, this afternoon. Wherever you are in the world, wherever you're listening, I'm so grateful you're here for this very special show. We have our wonderful guest, a knowledgeable young man who's so moving in the direction of solutions for our people, our African, Moorish, Aboriginal people across the planet, waking us up to the truth. Umar Abdullah Johnson. I want to bring him onto the show because we're going to be talking about some very important topics, highlighting the new film that he's been a part of, Hidden Colors. Welcome to the show, Umar.
Peace and blessings, Queen. Thanks for having me. It's an honor to be with you again.
I'm so grateful you could take time out in your busy schedule. I know that you're on a mission, and you're actually making things happen and move around the world for us and our children. So the topic today is that fantastic film that you've been a great part of, the Hidden Colors film by Tariq Nasheed. And it was done in Los Angeles. I want to get a little background about it. Of course, I went over to the site and checked out the trailer and read up on it. And I've been eagerly awaiting, our show today because you sent me a text about it, probably about a month ago or so. And so kind of had to hold on tight, but now we're ready to talk about it. So, with our limited amount of time, I just want to get right into it. The film is so important for our people. So please, take the floor.
Indeed. Well, I was contacted probably about a year ago by an assistant of Brother Tariq Nasheed, who said that they were interested in having me be a part of a documentary that he was planning to discuss the hidden history of African people throughout the world. And so, of course, I wanted to participate. I thought it would be a good idea to participate. I primarily wanted to highlight issues of our current struggle that we face as African people, because I try to stay political as much as possible. But, of course, the historical aspect is true as well. And basically, the intent of Hidden Colors was to show that African people had, in fact, circumnavigated the entire earth, the entire globe, all continents, and were the first to build civilizations on each and every continent, including Europe. The first Africans in Europe were called the Grimaldi, who had migrated to Africa between 20 and 40,000 years ago. And in the process of being in Europe during the Ice Age or immediately thereafter, they lost the ability to produce melanin in significant amounts. And so the modern-day European is a descendant of the older-day African Grimaldi peoples who had migrated there a very long time ago. In Asia, we know that the first emperor of Japan and China were both Africans. We know that the samurai warrior was created by an African who had came over from Africa to build the Asian martial arts, which was a descendant of the African martial arts that had predated it for a very long time. We know that the ninja warriors were also started by Africans, and as you know, the ninjas wear all black. And in Japan, they even have a saying that if you don't have a little bit of African blood, you can never truly be a samurai. In America, we also know that Africans were the first people here. Christopher Columbus, in his diary, clearly articulated that black people were the first people here. He stated that he saw Africans just like the ones he saw when he was in Africa. Prior to coming to America, Christopher Columbus was involved in the West African slave trade, and he was actually given a map by Africans that had shown him exactly how to get here to America. He did not get here by accident. It was not by fate, but he was told how to get here. There is, in fact, a certain current that Africans have known of for years that will bring you over here if you get in touch with that current by sea. Central America, South America, there are pyramids that are identical to the ones in Kemet. In fact, the Almic deities, which are a collection of gigantic concrete stones of African gods, many of the Almics, all of the Almics, have Africoid features, and many of them are even wearing the helmets of the African warrior. For example, Ixtilton, which is one of the more famous Almic deities and statues, he's wearing the helmet of the Ethiopian warrior. There was money from Africa that was actually found here in the so-called New World before slavery began also. So Africans are, in fact, indigenous to every part of the world. But I just want to underscore that we all have our origin in Africa. Africa is where we come from. The Moors are a nation of Africans who left Africa, went civilized Spain and other parts of Europe, and ultimately ended here in America. But the Moors were not the only Africans in America. There were other groups of Africans who were here as well. But Moor is only one nation of many Africans who had set out to explore the New World.
This is just, I think we're going to have to do a series because there's just so much to cover here. You touched on the history, and of course, history is so important, but we don't want to just stay stuck in the history about what was. You know, we are standing on the shoulders of the ancestors and all that they've done, and it's so important to bring that to the fore because, of course, there are brand new generations coming up all the time that must know their history. But let's focus on present day. You know, I know that you spoke a great deal about what's happening now and the greatness that we're still expanding.
Indeed. Presently, I think one of the biggest problems we have as African people is I think we're getting too caught up in the information. Information without institutions is ultimately useless. And I think one of the biggest mistakes that those of us who consider ourselves to be conscious or to be part of the conscious or revolutionary community, the biggest shortcoming that I believe we are making, and I think is a shortcoming that many of our ancestors can see in heaven, and that is that we are not as serious about building institutions as we were before. We have more information at our disposal than any time before. We are the most knowledgeable Africans in the history of the world outside of the Nile Valley Africans who built the greatest civilizations. But in terms of pure information about oneself, we have more than any other African, at least since the beginning of slavery. But that information has not led to institutions. For example, when you look at the Black Panther Party, they had breakfast programs, they had lunch programs, they had health programs. You look at Marcus Garvey, he had a steamship corporation. He had a factory to make black dolls for our daughters. He had universities. You look at Booker T. Washington and many other blacks who started the historically black college movement. They built institutions to teach black people. You look at the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, they had restaurants. Okay, they had programs to teach black children who they were, and then they had jobs where they could employ them. They were institutions. We don't have institutions. All we have is information, and we're being content with the information. You know, we have lectures, we do movies, you know, we write books, you know, we talk. We dialogue, we talk, we have TV shows, radio shows, but where are the information? Where are the institutions? Now, we don't need to stop doing what we're doing. We need your show. We need the documentaries. We need the books. So I'm not saying we should stop by no means. Information gathering must continue. It is necessary. I'm simply arguing that it's not sufficient. Ultimately,
it's the beginning. It's the beginning.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And the reason why the information is not leading to institutions is because black people are not interested in using their income for their own improvement.
Oh, right there. In the pocket.
You follow me?
I totally follow you.
It all comes down to the money. Black people do not trust themselves enough, each other. We do not trust each other enough, nor are we committed to the struggle enough to want to sacrifice our savings for our improvement. That is the crux of our problem.
Now, Umar, would you agree that that's due to the fact that many of us are comfortable now?
Very much so.